All right. So welcome back. I have up on the screen an animation that I made for HTML, and I'm showing you this not because this is what we're necessarily going to do today, but just to kind of start your imagination moving around and thinking about what kinds of things can we do well beyond kind of just the form or the displaying information that we could do on a web page in HTML using something like JavaScript and CSS. Here you'll see I've got an animated Mickey head bouncing around the screen and at the same time changing colors. One of the cool things I like about this particular code that I wrote is that even if I change the size of the window, let me refresh here. If I change the size of the window, while it's inside the window at least, it'll change the way it bounces. So if I now squeeze this in, and if I move the bottom up, let me see if I can grab the bottom here. See, it'll change. I can kind of narrowly squeeze it in, and now I make it just bounce right there, back and forth, changing colors. Kind of neat stuff. Anyway, the point of this is to show you that this is a fairly powerful API is what we would call this. This is a fairly powerful group of code that we can use in HTML and do some fun things with, and it's relatively simple. This, believe it or not, is a very, very simple approach to animation. And we'll talk more about animation, maybe specifically on an individual level if that's something you think you're interested in, but also on a group level, we'll probably talk more about animation as we go on in the class. So I wanted to show you this just to sort of say like, hey, this is kind of a neat thing we can do. And we're going to start playing with this object today. So let me talk a little bit about what's actually happening and what this object is. You'll notice we have a blue background and we have this white square in the middle. And this white square in the middle is an HTML object called a canvas. And a canvas is just a blank space that we can draw on using certain commands. Here I'm drawing 3 circles of different size and a specific orientation over and over again in different colors to produce this animation, and I'm just moving their position around the screen relative to the size of the window. And that all sounds, again, complex. It's not, and I'm going to show you, we're going to start our first drawings today, and you'll kind of see. So let me actually close this for now and bring you over to your own canvas. And I've set up different folders here. I recommend you doing the same. It's just easier to keep track of if we have everything kind of in its own folder. But let's go over to Canvas HTML and let's get started. First thing we know we want to type is doc type. Then we want to say, yeah, we're going to use HTML. We know we want a header. We know we want a title. We'll call this Canvas. We also want to link this to our style sheet, so we'll hit link and we'll say our style sheet in this case is called Canvas CSS. We want a body. And then inside of our body, we want a canvas element. So we're going to call our element canvas like this. We don't actually have to write anything in between the tags. What we do need to do, though, is give this an ID of my canvas so that we can reference it in our JavaScript and so that we can style it appropriately. We also want to make sure that our JavaScript can have access to our canvas and it's connected to our HTML. And to do that, we go after our canvas somewhere near the bottom of the screen, the HTML, and we say script and we say src. Inside, remember this is an attribute. Attributes go inside that first tag here, and this is going to be canvas.js. Okay, now everything is nice and linked. The canvas element will actually take other properties. In this case, we want to take a height and a width just to preset it. So let's go ahead and set a width. Let's go with 400 and a height, again, of 400 just to get us started off. And now we actually have most of everything we need. Let's go into our canvas for a second and just style a few things quickly. First of all, let's make sure that our page, our HTML, is going to be 100% of our height and width. So we're going to say width equal, width is 100%. Height is 100%. We're going to want to do the same thing for our body. Just to make sure that everything is taking up the space we want it to be taking. Oh, this should be height. And now, oh, let's give our body a background too. You can make it whatever background color you like. Let's go with, I'm going to go with green yellow this time. And now we're going to style our canvas. Now you remember we gave our canvas an ID of my canvas. So when we want to style something with an ID, we can just do this. Using the hashtag, and let's give our canvas a let's also make our body display flex. We're going to make sure our canvas is in the middle, and remember we do that, we can just give it margin auto. We can also make our background color white is a nice place to start. Okay, let's save that, and let's go ahead and open this. So we're inside a canvas. We're going to file, open with, and here we are. And that's pretty much what we laid out, right? The width and height look a little bit, that looks rectangular to me. Did I do something wrong there? Let's go back and let me see inside the canvas. I made it 400 by 400. Maybe it just looks that way because of this. Let's see. Oh, ha, I spelled width wrong. There you go. All right. So Command S. Let's flip back over. Let's refresh. And there we go. Yeah, we have a nice square now. Okay. I'm going to set these up side by side. Easier for everybody to see everything. Let's go ahead and close our folder for a second. I'm going to shrink this down, and we're just going to have this so we can start playing with this in our JavaScript. And really, most of the work we're going to do to draw on our canvas is going to happen in the JavaScript. So let's talk about a couple of things we need in our JavaScript. I'm going to close you down, that are going to help us draw on our screen here. The first thing is we need a reference to our canvas. Let CNV is short for canvas, good short for canvas. We're going to go ahead and use our document object, which remember refers to this page. We're going to get element by ID. We've done this before. And if you remember, I gave mine an ID of my canvas. Now, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but one level of complexity is that we don't actually draw to the canvas. We draw on the context of the canvas. It's just one level of abstraction away from the canvas. It doesn't make a big difference, but it does mean we have to add a line. I want to explain two things real quickly. First of all, JavaScript does not have an auto typing system. What do I mean by that? So if I were to write let context, or CTX for short, equal the CTV dot get. Notice I'm not getting any autocomplete here. I happen to know that it's get context. I happen to know that I want to pass it 2D because we're going to be drawing in 2 dimensions. I happen to know that all that works off the top of my head, or I can do it by searching online. But that's not always great. Sometimes I want to have it autocomplete, like give me more information that when it provides, when I do some of my other things like get element by ID, right? It knows the document and it can get me the information I want about the document by just hitting dot and providing me with some information. So if I wanted to get some information about the context, if I wanted that to come up automatically, I have to do something called type aliasing. Now, don't worry too much about what that means. What that is under the hood. We don't need to go into too much detail, but essentially what it means is I'm telling VS Code exactly what type of object CTX is going to be so that it can autocomplete some code for me. So that's what this line here does. We do dash star star at type, and we tell it the type inside of here, and then we do star dash. So I want to show you the difference between having this and not having this. So let me comment it out for a second. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to comment it out. So CTX dot, I get, this is all I get. Not very much, right? Not very much information. Now, if I do type alias, which means if I tell VS Code what type of thing this is going to be, I can do dot, and now I get all of the code complete for for context. And by the way, we could do that with other things too. Do you remember how I didn't get my get context here on CNV? Well, if I did /** and I did at type, and then I did squiggly brackets, and I said canvas. I actually don't remember exactly what type it is, but let's see if we can figure it out. Canvas. I don't think it's just canvas. Maybe canvas media stream track. Let's see. Does this get me CNV dot get? Nope, it doesn't. Canvas. Let's see. Render. Context. Let me look it up. HTML canvas type. It is a canvas. Just seeing if I can get a type. I paused you for a second so you didn't have to stare at a blank screen while I did a little bit of searching. Okay, the type for canvas is HTML canvas element. So now when I want to get the context, I can say CNV dot get, and you'll see context actually comes up. And I can say, okay, what do I want from the context? And I can get a little bit of doc strings here. And in this case, I want a 2D context. So now I can get some autocomplete with my code here, which is nice. Again, don't worry too much about what's happening under the hood here. I just want you to see a way to make this a little bit easier for you. So now we want to draw on our canvas, but particularly on our context of our canvas. So let's go ahead and draw a rectangle. So the first thing we need to do, if we're going to draw a rectangle, is we need to define how you're going to fill that rectangle, what quote-unquote fill style your context is going to have when it draws complete shapes like this. So we say ctx.fillStyle, and we're going to set that equal to something. For styles, there are lots of options. Generally, you want to stick with something pretty simple like a color, but you can set it to gradients. There's lots of options, and you should feel free to look up what options there are and play around with those. And then if we want to draw a rectangle, we can just say CTX. And if I write rect, you can see I have a couple of options here. Because I've defined a fill style, I'm going to do a fill rect. And I want to provide it with some information. It says X number, Y number, W number, H number. What does that mean? Well, the first two numbers are the XY coordinates on our canvas here. You should know it starts at 0, 0, and as you go down, it increases in Y, which is a little bit unusual compared to what you've done in math probably. But as you go across, it increases in X, which is exactly what you would expect from math, right? So let's say I want this to be kind of just in this corner here, a little bit away. We'll do 10, 10. And now W is should be relatively obviously width. Let's go with 100, and height. Let's go with 2, or let's go with 100. Because we're making, this will be a nice little square. Okay. Let's go ahead and refresh and see what happens. Boom. And there is our rectangle drawn. If we wanted to move it, we could change its location. And by the way, the location is referring to this top left corner. Rectangles always start drawing from the top left corner. And then they just expand by the height and width that you've defined here. You can change the fill style and get a different color. Okay. And you don't have to just draw rectangles. CTX can also draw other shapes. Another nice shape to be able to draw is like a circle, right? Like an arc. We call that an arc. So we're going to say CTX begin path, CTX arc. And an arc takes a bunch of numbers, right? First it takes the XY coordinate kind of starting in the left-hand corner. It takes a radius. We'll do 30. It takes a start angle. We'll do 0. And let's do 2 times math.pi. That looks fancy. I'm accessing the math library here. I'm just completing the circle. Okay. We're going from... Oops, 0 went away. We're going from 0 to a complete circle, which can be measured this way. It's an easy way of doing a complete circle. Oh, and now you'll notice, even though I hit refresh, nothing's coming up, right? That's because I need to say CTX dot stroke, which means essentially draw this, okay? And you'll notice it comes up. It's kind of black, right? What if we wanted a different color? Well, we could do, just like we have fill style, we can do CTX dot stroke style instead of color or gradient or any number of other things, right? We could do that. If we did, I wonder what happens if we do a CTX fill. Yeah, we can also begin the path, draw the arc, and fill it. And by the way, you could draw a couple of different things in here. You could do an arc. You could do CTX dot line. And that will take a value. So let's go 200, 200. Line would probably require a stroke rather than a fill because it's not a shape. So let's go back to stroke here. And then we end up with this kind of arc and then a line, right? So we have these, and the line goes to 200, 200. That's where it's going to, right? So you have these different methods, functions, right? Different ways of drawing on this canvas. And we can do all sorts of drawing. And a thing to know is that basically, animation is just drawing and clearing and drawing and clearing over and over and over again at its most basic level, right? At its most basic level, animation is just drawing and redrawing and redrawing and redrawing and clearing in between objects to create the sensation of movement. And that's how that Mickey head is done. But we're not going to get too much into animation. I wanted to start off just by showing you how you might start drawing. The other thing we can do on a canvas is we can actually get a picture on a canvas. So I'm going to grab an image real quickly. Let's say a dog. Let's grab an image of a dog. Sure. That is huge. We want smaller images of a dog. I'm going to come over here to my tools and say I want a icon size image of a dog. I'm going to save that image as dog, and I'll save it right into the same folder. I'm just grabbing something for now off of Google. Okay, and you'll notice we now have this dog JPEG. So if you want to make an image on a canvas, you need to start by creating a reference to the image object itself. So we're going to say let img equal new image, just like that. So we're just making a new image type. We're going to set the source for that image, and we can just write the file name because it's right in the same folder. And then if we want to display that image, we're going to say ctx dot, and then we'll say draw image, and draw image takes a image, which in our case is img, and then takes a place to draw that image, which is going to be, we're going to put it at, actually let's put it at 300 by 300. And then let's see what happens. Uh-oh, nothing happens. One of the reasons nothing's happening is because all of this code is running really, really quickly. And the problem with that in this case is that it's actually trying to draw the dog before it's finished loading the dog file, because it's a little bit bigger than you might expect. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to say, okay, image has this nice on load property that will take a function, and we can say, okay, when you are loading, please do this thing, right? Please start drawing this thing. So we're going to say on load. Actually, we can just say on load equals, and we're going to set it equal to a function. And that function is going to try to draw the image. I think I've done that properly. Let's see. Yep, there it is. And that's off the screen too much, so let's go ahead and bring you back onto the screen. And there it is. We haven't talked a lot about functions. We're going to do that next. But I wanted just to show you how you can get a image onto your canvas as well. And you needed this on load to sort of allow the image to happen on the screen. Something else to notice that the dog is being drawn after all of this. And actually, I think even if I were to Command X, even if I were to put it like right away, it would probably still be drawn after everything. I've done something wrong. Oh, it doesn't have a reference to it. Okay, wait, Command X. It doesn't know what img is up here. Command V, okay. Yeah, you'll see, even though technically we're saying draw it up here, because the loading is taking a little bit longer than instantaneous, it's saying, okay, when this is done loading, draw all this stuff. It goes through, finishes drawing all this stuff, and then goes back and draws this once this is done loading, which just takes a little bit longer than instantaneous. If we wanted this to go on top of it, we could put this into the onload function as well. So that now it'll do all of this after the image is done loading, and it will start by drawing the image, and then we'll draw on top of it. Okay. That's a lot. That was a big video. I wanted to show you kind of to get you started playing with Canvas and thinking about kind of your personal project. This might be something you want to incorporate. It might not. That's okay either way. One other thing I'm going to do quickly is I don't love these scroll bars here. And the way to get rid of this, I'm going to go into Canvas and I'm just going to say on my body, overflow hidden. That should ditch both of those. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So here is your skills check for today. I want you to draw a shape in a color other than black, and I want you to draw an image to your canvas and turn that in. So your canvas should have an image, and it should have a shape drawn on it that's visible as your skill check. All right? All right, good luck.